Hey y'all, Jonathan Sargent here, and definitely not there. This is innerVIVID, and we're coming to you from the lands of the Yagara and Turrbal people, lands never ceded. Because I know some of you are fans of the details, this is the third episode of the fifth theme, tomorrow, of our innerVIVID playground. It is possibly the greatest video you will ever see. I mean, that's just objectively true. Okay, what you doing tomorrow? Got plans? In my work with young people, one thing that would often eventually come up was the future and how we could know about it. By this, I kind of mean like Ouija boards and reading people's palms, tarot cards, that sort of thing. Those kids knew I was sort of into thinking about spirituality and wanted to know what I thought about that stuff. The key question is this, I reckon.
People seem keen to know what the future holds. But is it really possible to know what comes next for individuals?
Well, I think that if we went out and asked the man on the street or the woman in the pub or the person that we encountered just doing ordinary everyday things, that most people would say we don't actually know what's coming next. And I suppose that's where it draws on our human capacities for trust and for hope and for resilience, to know that we have these capacities. That's who human beings are. And rather than be fearful, to know that we can be ready to encounter whatever it is that happens next.
I think we live in interesting times, to use a Chinese proverb, or the third part of a Chinese proverb. There's a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty, and there is an increasing awareness that when something happens in one country, it can greatly impact that which happens in other countries. I think COVID really made us painfully aware of that. So I think we, in some ways, wait with bated breath to see where some of the conflicts are going in our world, whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's with Ukraine and Russia, because we know that there is a high possibility what will happen there will impact more than the countries around, but even the whole world. So I don't think it is possible to know what's coming next. I think there are some things we have control over and some things we don't. I think Hugh Mackay, the social researcher, said something very interesting in one of his many books, where he said that people actually feel that life and the world is a bit out of control, so they take control over the things that they can do. So they renovate their houses, they paint their kitchens, they do their gardens. But when we think about, well, what's going to happen next in the reality of a rapidly changing climate, in the reality of political polarization, well, those things are beyond our control. So let's just do the kitchen again and let's just plant an orchard, you know, those sorts of things. So I don't think it's possible to know what's coming next.
I don't think it truly is to fully know what's coming next, but it's natural to want to know. It's natural to desire something better for ourselves and for others, to know that there is something in our lives that is worth it. For me, there have been times when I've been in that space where I've been doing the thing that I want, and the future has been somewhat certain for me, and then it's gone away and I've been left in this space of, well, what now? And that can be quite devastating, actually. And to keep moving forward in the hope of something better is actually really, really very difficult.
I believe that what is coming next is what's always coming next, and that is that we should be reaching out into the world in love and forgiveness and trying to impact this world with love. And that's what I think the plan is.
I'm not interested in fortune tellers. I don't think anybody knows. Again, it's so random. The universe is subject to so many different forces, and we are such small players in the big universe. The idea that my life is foretellable, I think is a nonsense. I wouldn't want to know, even if it was, but I just don't believe that it is. And it's nice, isn't it? Comes as a complete surprise. Every day is great.
I think one thing we cannot know is anything to do with the future. And that is really, really scary when we strip it down. And so there is a huge industry that has been set up to try to help people deal with that anxiety, and that is the whole future telling project, whether it's religion, whether it's pseudo-religion, even the idea of, you know, planning for your retirement. There's a whole lot, you know, it's all based on trying to make sure we feel secure. And there's nothing wrong with that, because security is really important to humans from the time we're really, really tiny. We want to feel secure, but if you strip it back, there is just no way you can understand the future.
Whoa, so is everything totally unknowable? Is it all just our insecurities showing, that we seem so desperate to know? Or our need to feel some sense of control over what's basically uncontrollable? If only Peter Klein was here to help us out right now, he said, having seen the future by reading the script.
So I think human beings can develop certain patterns across their lives that make it somewhat possible to kind of predict what someone is going to do or what's going to happen for someone in the future. So for instance, I don't think Elon Musk, for example, is going to do anything radically different tomorrow than what he tends to do. Meaning he's not going to give away all of his money tomorrow, for instance. But ultimately, I think no. I think you can't ever really predict what's coming for an individual, because the radical thing about the future is that it actually doesn't exist. That the iteration of myself that I will be tomorrow doesn't actually exist. So none of us actually know what's coming in the future. It sort of sits there like a big gaping void. And we tend to fill in that void with kind of projections of ourselves. We project our present or our past sense of who we are into the future, or what's happening to us in the present or what's happened to us in the past into the future, as a way to stabilize our relation to that void. But every day those projections are proved wrong in little ways and in big ways. So no, ultimately, I don't think any of us really know what's coming.
I smile when you ask me this question about wanting to know our future, wanting to be planners. I am definitely somebody who likes to know what's happening next. I'm one of those people who don't necessarily like surprise parties, that kind of thing. But that aside, I think it is important that we do things with intention and go forward. But we can never know what happens. There can be a car accident, there can be a disease diagnosis, there can be a wonderful opportunity that opens up in a space for a family member that means reconsider everything. It might meet someone that changes, might have a sense of really needing to work somewhere.
Some days I wake up and I think, right, I know what's going to happen today, this week. The diary's clear, there's no dramas, I'm just going to sail through this. And then all of a sudden something crops up and it just throws me out of my routine. And I actually get really angry about that. I think, I had a plan for this week. I knew what this week was going to contain, and it all just goes to pot. So, you know what? Yes, I really wish that we could control all sorts of things in front of us. And we try. We really do try to make plans. But the unexpected comes up. Things happen. And part of being human for me is discerning how I respond to that. The only thing I can control in that situation is my response to it. So the days that I get really cross and shake my fist at the sky are the least helpful days. The days that I reach out for help, or the days that I actually steel myself and go, we can get through this, are the days that I'm going really well.
So our IV experts, as I'm contractually obliged to call them, are pretty strong on the idea that we really can't know our futures, no matter what Marty McFly might want to tell you. I like where Peter Kay says, the version of myself that I'll be tomorrow doesn't actually exist. Did my excellent American accent distract you? Anyway, yeah, the version of myself that I will be tomorrow doesn't actually exist. But he does add that our patterns of behaviour tend to be pretty linear and consistent with what we've done before. What do you think? Because if we do like the destiny idea? Now, I love the Star Wars films. Remember in Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader is trying to tempt Luke to the dark side and he says, "Join me and together we can rule the galaxy. It is your destiny." Even in the film, Luke says, "Nuh-uh," wanting to forge his own path of goodness. Is that more like you? Or is that just a concept of American individualism finding its way into our brains? Ultimately, would it be good to know what's coming next? If our fate was mapped out and knowable? Or is that the dullest way to live your life ever? Yeah, what do you reckon?
Darth Vader says, "Join me and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son," or mother and daughter. It is your destiny, the key word destiny. Do you believe people have a destiny?
I believe we have a calling, is a better way, for me, a better way of putting it. I believe we have a calling, and I believe our calling, which would fulfill a destiny, if we want to use that word, is to be the person that we were made to be. So to discover our gifts, to discover a place where we can meaningfully put and contribute our gifts.
It's all about potential. That we're created with gifts, talents, physical attributes, but we also placed in a context, and so the interplay of those things, that's what takes us on the journey that we're due to be on.